AITA for dumping my girlfriend so she and her mom can figure out why she's single? My name is Marcus Reed, and I am 29 years old. I am a baker, not the kind who works at a large corporation putting bread into plastic bags. I am an artisan baker. I have a small bakery in the Hawthorne neighborhood of Portland, Oregon, where I make sourdough loaves, brioche buns, fresh croissants, and specialty pastries that people line up to buy starting at 7 in the morning. My grandmother taught me the trade. She used to say that a man who knows how to bake will never go hungry or be alone, because bread draws people and like a flame draws moths. My grandmother was right about the first part, but she was wrong about the second. Rachel and I had been together for 3 years. We met at a craft beer bar in downtown Portland on a Friday night when she was celebrating her acceptance into a master's program in graphic design. I was only there because a friend had dragged me out after a 14-hour shift at the bakery. I smelled like yeast and butter. I had flour on the collar of my shirt, and my fingernails were permanently stained with sourdough starter. To me, she seemed like the most brilliant woman I had ever met. Quick, sharp, with a sense of humor that made you feel like you were competing and losing. I fell in love the way a baker falls in love, slowly, patiently, letting things develop at their own pace. The first year was incredible. She would come to the bakery early on Saturdays and help me knead dough while we listened to our favorite playlists. She told me my hands were what she liked most about me, huge, strong, and smelling of fresh bread. We would grab dinner at the food cart pods around the city, walk hand in hand through the neighborhoods, and fall asleep on the couch watching movies neither of us ever finished. But Rachel's mother, Beverly Bennett, existed, and she existed with the gravitational pull of a black hole. Beverly lived in Los Angeles and was an accountant, a woman of business suits, designer handbags, and opinions that were not opinions but sentences. The first time we met at a family lunch at her house in a nice suburb of Los Angeles, she studied me from head to toe, like someone assessing a piece of land before deciding it is not worth the investment. So what do you do, Marcus? I am a baker. I have an artisan bakery in Portland. The silence that followed lasted for seconds that felt as heavy as 4 years. Oh, how quaint. Quaint. She stuck that word in me like a pin, and I never pulled it out. After lunch, while Rachel and I were washing dishes in her mom's kitchen, I overheard her talking on the phone with a friend in the living room. He is a nice guy, but he has no future. A baker. Rachel needs someone with vision. Rachel heard it too. I saw her jaw tighten, but she said nothing. She just looked at me with an expression I then interpreted as an apology, but which I now understand was the first brick in a wall that was built between us over the next 3 years. From that point on, Beverly became a permanent third element in our relationship. She did not live with us, but she was more present than our water and electricity. She would call 3 times a week, always at dinner time, as if she had a sixth sense for interrupting the only moments we had together. Each call included questions about me disguised as maternal concern. Does he have a formal business plan yet? How much does he make a month? Would you not like to be with someone more ambitious? There was one night that particularly marked me. It was December. We were preparing Christmas dinner together. I was baking my grandmother's special holiday bread from scratch, with real candied orange peel and dough fermented for 24 hours. Rachel was decorating the table. The phone rang. Beverly. Rachel answered and went into the bedroom. 20 minutes later, she came back with red eyes. What is wrong? I asked. Nothing. My mom just asked if you had thought about looking for something more stable, something with benefits. I have my own business. I pay my taxes, I have insurance. I know, but she says a small bakery is not the same as a real job. And what do you think? She was quiet for 3 seconds. 3 seconds that were the most eloquent answer she gave me in 3 years. I think maybe she has a point. That night, the holiday bread turned out perfect. We ate it in silence. In the beginning, Rachel would defend me. Mom, Marcus works so hard. His bread is the best in our neighborhood. But over time, her defenses weakened, like dough that has been left to proof for too long. It collapses under its own weight. She stopped defending me. She started repeating her mother's questions as if they were her own. Have you not thought about expanding? Are you not afraid of staying in the same place your whole life? My mom says a business without a 5-year plan is not a business. It is a hobby. I would answer with patience, explaining the numbers, that the bakery was bringing in about $40,000 a month, that I already had 2 employees, that I was saving up to buy a new industrial oven. But nothing was ever enough. The measuring stick was not reality. It was Beverly's fantasy of a son-in-law in a suit and tie with a new car and a premium credit card. The night she said the phrase, we were on the couch after dinner. I had grilled steaks with roasted vegetables and fresh bread from the bakery. Rachel ate in silence, scrolling on her phone with one hand. She did not even look at me. And then she dropped the line, just like that, like someone dropping a glass on the floor and not even bending down to pick up the pieces. My mom always asks me why I am still with you, and the truth is, I do not know what to tell her anymore. I waited. Maybe she would realize what she had just said. Maybe she would laugh and say she was not serious. She did not laugh. I mean, I do not want to fight. I am just being honest. My mom thinks I can find someone better. There it was, the constant echo. Beverly's voice coming out of Rachel's mouth, like a ventriloquist's dummy. I looked at her, and I felt something shift inside me. It was not anger or sadness. It was clarity. The same clarity you feel when you pull a loaf of bread from the oven and see it is perfect. There is no doubt, no second opinion. It just is. You are right, I told her. She looked up from her phone for the first time all night, surprised. What? You are right. You do not have an answer, and that tells me everything I need to know. Her mouth felt open slightly, as if she were expecting more, an argument, a plea, a list of reasons for her to stay. Instead, I got up from the couch. What are you doing? Agreeing with you, I said calmly. She laughed, a dry sound. Do not be so dramatic. I did not answer. That night, I slept on the very edge of the bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to her breathe as if nothing had changed. But something had changed. The baker who for 3 years had woken up at 4 in the morning to knead, bake, sell, come home tired, and listen to how he was not enough, that baker had grown tired of developing in silence. The next morning, Rachel left for work with a distracted kiss and a reminder to buy milk. I waited for the door to close. I opened the closet and took out my suitcases. I packed in silence, not to hide, but because I did not need any drama. I folded my clothes with the same care I used to fold dough. Methodical, calm, each piece in its place. I walked through the apartment one last time. Our picture from our trip to the Columbia River Gorge, the plant I kept alive while she forgot to water it, the bread-proofing baskets I kept on the kitchen shelf because she said they gave the apartment a rustic aesthetic. I grabbed a marker, wrote the note, placed it on the counter, and left. I went to my brother Kyle's house in the Selwood neighborhood. He did not ask many questions. He handed me a local craft beer and said, "It is about time, bro." At noon, the bombardment began. Missed calls, text messages that escalated from confusion to panic. Where are you? Are you seriously doing this? This is so immature, Marcus. Immature, Rachel's favorite word, used whenever I refused to swallow something in silence. I did not reply. At 1:43 in the afternoon, the message that confirmed I had made the right decision arrived. My mom says you are overreacting. I laughed for the first time in weeks. Because even now, even after I had left, Rachel's first instinct was not to reflect. It was to consult the boss. That evening, she left a voicemail. I listened to it once. At first, her voice was sharp, accusatory. You have no right to just leave like this over a comment. Then it softened, controlled. I was just venting. Everyone complains to their mom. And at the end, the phrase that told me everything, I did not think you would actually leave. There it was. It was not, I am sorry. It was not, I hurt you. Just shocked that I had stepped out of the role I had been silently playing for 3 years. The one who absorbs criticism, the one who proves his worth on demand, the one who competes with Beverly's opinion as if she were a permanent third member of the relationship. I did not call her back. The next day, a mutual friend texted me. Rachel is upset. She says you blindsided her. Blindsided. As if the phrase, I do not know why I am still with you, was something I should just ignore. As if dignity were negotiable. I replied, I did not leave because of her mom. I left because Rachel agreed with her. He did not respond. I did not need him to. 2 days later, Rachel showed up at my brother's house. I had not told her where I was, which meant she had been asking around, probably with her mother on speakerphone supervising the operation. I opened the door and instantly regretted it. She was dressed in that forced way, hair straightened, full makeup, a rigid posture, as if she were going to a job interview. not to see the boyfriend she had belittled. "So this is where you have been hiding," she said, walking in without an invitation. I blocked the doorway. "You should not be here." She rolled her eyes. "Relax, I just want to talk. My mom thinks this is all a storm in a teacup." I laughed. I could not help it. "Your mom does not get a vote here." Her face hardened. "You are being disrespectful." "To whom? You or her?" That struck a nerve. She crossed her arms. "You always do this. You turn everything into some grand moral stand instead of just fixing things." "Fixing what?" "Convincing you that I am worth being with." "See? That attitude is exactly what my mom talks about." There it was again, the eternal echo. I took a deep breath. "Rachel, you did not just repeat her words, you believed them. You said you did not know why you were with me." She hesitated for a moment. I was confused. "You were honest. For the first time in 3 years." Her voice rose. "So you just leave? Without arguing? Without giving me a chance to explain?" "I gave you 3 years," I said calmly. "This was not sudden. This was overdue." She looked at me as if I were a stranger. "You think you are better than me now?" "No. I think I have finally stopped bowing down." It was in that moment that she understood this was not a tantrum. It was permanent. And for the first time since she arrived, I saw fear in her eyes. She did not leave right away. She stood in the doorway, as if waiting for someone, anyone, to tell her what to do next. When my brother moved behind me, she finally remembered she was not in charge there. "Fine," she said, lifting her chin. "If you want space, take it. But do not pretend I did not try." "Trying would have sounded different," I replied. She turned to leave, then stopped. "My mom says you are going to regret this." It almost made me smile. "I do not have regrets anymore," I said. She froze. Then she left without another word. That night, my phone exploded. Not with messages from her, but from Beverly. I had never given her my number. Rachel must have. The message was long, carefully crafted, and full of concern. "Marcus, I do not think you understand the pressure Rachel is under. She needs stability, a partner who knows his place in her future." Knows his place. I read it twice. I put my phone aside. It was the first time I understood the whole picture. It was not just a meddling mother-in-law. It was a hierarchy, and I was never at the top. The following week was a parade of intermediaries, mutual friends writing to me with concern, all with the same carefully drafted script, as if they had been given instructions. One of them let it slip. "Rachel says you blindsided her. Her mom says she did not think you would actually leave." That is what they had the hardest time understanding. That the quiet baker, the one who woke up at 4 in the morning without complaining, the one who made dinners and bought the milk and kept the plan alive, had one day decided he deserved more than to be a project under permanent evaluation. I found out from my brother that Rachel went to the apartment with her mother a few days later. Not to pack, not to move on, but to inspect. Beverly went from room to room asking, "And who bought this?" The stove was mine. The refrigerator was mine, the dining table was mine, the pans were mine, even the bath mat was mine. Rachel was realizing, piece by piece, that almost everything functional in the apartment belonged to me. Her things were decorative, the paintings, the scented candles, the empty pots from plants that I used to water. Kyle told me that Rachel sat down on the floor of the empty kitchen and stayed there for 15 minutes without speaking. For the first time, Beverly did not know what to say. It is funny how someone's contribution is invisible until it is gone. Like air. No one notices it until they cannot breathe. Rachel called me one last time, days later. I almost did not answer. Her voice sounded different. No attitude, no authority, just exhaustion. "I will not take up your time," she said. "I just wanted to tell you that my mom asked me again why I am single." I waited. And this time, I did not blame you. A pause. I told her the truth. That I let her voice become louder than my own. That I let her question you until I started questioning you too. It was the closest to taking responsibility I had heard from her in 3 years. "I do not expect anything from you," she added quickly. "I know that door is closed. I just wanted you to know that I finally understood what you meant." I exhaled slowly. "I hope so," I told her. "Because understanding later does not erase the damage, but it can prevent it from happening again." She was quiet for a moment. "Did you really mean what you said when you agreed with me? Were you serious?" "Yes," I replied. "I agreed that you did not have an answer, and I refused to keep being one," she whispered. "I lost you because I did not protect us." You lost me because you did not choose us, I corrected gently. We said goodbye without promises, without bitterness, just finality. When the call ended, I felt something I had not felt in years. Peace. Because when she said, "My mom asked me why I am still with you," she was really asking herself. And when I said, "You are right," I was not giving up. I was walking away from a place where I was never allowed to stand on my own. Today, the bakery is doing better than ever. I bought the new industrial oven, a used French model I found on Facebook Marketplace, and restored myself over 3 weekends. I hired another girl for the counter, Jenna, who is 18 and has a natural talent for customer service that reminds me of my grandmother. On Saturdays, the line stretches to the corner of the block, and people make TikTok videos of my freshly baked croissants. A food blogger from San Francisco wrote a review of my place that went viral, and now tourists come all the way from Los Angeles. The irony is not lost on me, just to try my sourdough. My grandmother, if she were alive, would be proud. Not of the bakery's success, but that I finally learned the lesson she tried to teach me my whole life. A lesson that took me 3 years and a broken relationship to understand, that a man's worth is not determined by anyone else's opinion. Not a girlfriend's, not a mother-in-law's, not an evaluation committee disguised as a family. I am not looking for a relationship. I am not interested right now. I am happy with my dough, my oven, and my quiet mornings before the sun rises. But on Sundays, when I close up early and sit on the small bench outside the bakery with a cup of coffee in my hand, watching the street of the Hawthorne neighborhood fill with people and sunlight, with the smell of fresh bread wafting out the door like an invitation to the world, I think about what my grandmother once told me. A man who knows how to bake will never be alone. She was right. I just had to learn first that the worst kind of loneliness is not being by yourself. It is being with someone who does not know why they are with you. And the best kind of company is not the one that asks you to prove your worth. It is the one that sees it without you having to say a word. Comment. I wanted to share a few thoughts with you after watching this story together. What really touched me is how important it is to value and respect ourselves in any relationship. We shouldn't have to keep proving our worth to someone who is supposed to care for us. Setting healthy boundaries is actually an act of kindness toward ourselves and others. Taking responsibility for our own happiness instead of waiting for approval can change everything. Sometimes, choosing peace means making difficult decisions, but it opens the door to true healing. I hope this encourages you to listen more closely to your own feelings. Be gentle with yourself as you figure things out. Remember that you deserve to feel truly seen and appreciated. You have the strength to build a life filled with calm and genuine respect. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.